It's Wednesday. You know what time it is. Front Runner Podcast Collective is back on the air. I am your humble host, Vince, and we have a really exciting podcast for you today. We will be talking about some of the latest rumors that are going on, and then also we are going to put the Houston Rockets in the Front Runner front office focus. We're going to talk about their team and break it all down and what they've done and give you a little history lesson on our guy, Rafael Stone. But before we get there, let's break down the socials. First and foremost, Twitter. Surprisingly, people have found us, which is great. I'm always shocked, honestly, because I sit here and do this in here. And, I see the numbers and I talk to you guys about it all the time. But then you get so busy with tracking down stories or trying to get like quotes for upcoming pieces or whatever the case may be. And then you go back and you look at your numbers and you go, wow, this is crazy. So first of all, thank you for supporting us. You can, again, I think we've talked about this in the past, interact with us on Twitter, at FrontRunnerPC. And then the producers are at Rhea_Funch FRPC. They're hilarious. They have a banter back and forth that I don't quite understand because I'm 20 plus years older than them. They think it's funny that I don't understand it, and it's great. So get them, lock in with them, lock in with me. This gives you the latest, because the thing that we always tell you about, and the first thing that we are going to talk about today, is you never know when something's going to happen. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But before we get there, let's talk about the YouTube page. We have a couple new videos on there, a couple new clips. We broke down Chicago and what they've done this offseason so far. And we also got into the Evan Mobley extension for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think both pieces are pretty well done. I think they're fair for the team, the players, and, so as far as being critical, we do that as well. I think there's a balance that we try to strike. That's our main focus normally. And some people like it, some people don't. Some people want to say, hey, just call them trash and be done with it. But there's just so many variables to this situation that sometimes we're not aware of until, it comes out later. But go take a peek at those new clips. The Cleveland Cavalier one, a lot of good work in that. The Chicago one was more observation, but I really believe in those observations that we put together for you was pretty much the truth of the matter. I know for the Chicago fans out there, because I feel you. I've talked about it on this podcast a lot. One of my best friends that I lost due to my drinking, that I no longer do, right? Recovering alcoholic and all that. He was a Chicago Bulls fan, grew up there, what have you, and he came out here to go to high school, and we commiserated on his team, which being the Bulls, and I was a Laker fan, so you can imagine what that was like. And this was like the height of Jordan. So I can imagine what Chicago fans are going through, because he went through it too. And this is like before they won. Like, I got to him before Mike won the championship against Magic in the early 90s finals. So, I got to see the people calling Mike just a scorer, just a gunner, just a chucker, to, oh no, this is the greatest player that we've ever seen. So I got to see that whole arc, which was cool. With that being said, go watch the videos at Front Runner Podcast Collective on YouTube. Check those out. And then the other thing that we got to talk about, the momentum is building. We don't have a lot of days left. Today's the 24th. We have 7 days until the end of the month. Now, I said that we were on pace to break the record, but now it's getting close, and now it's getting spicy, and I don't know if we're going to do it. But I have faith that our FRPC listeners, our audience, our loyal listeners will send us home with the dub, and we will break our personal record. So, be a friend, tell a friend about the podcast. And remember, wait till basically about the end of the show, and we will give you tips on who else you can possibly talk to about Frontrunner Podcast Collective. So if you have exhausted your friend group, Vince has some other ways to help you out. All right. With that being said, let's get on with the show. The first thing that I want to do is that we always, as a team, we look up and say, hey, just as a quick little thing, check to see if anything else is out there. And I want to give credit. Well, credit is due. Get it? Per Brian Lewis of the New York Post, Cam Johnson of the Brooklyn Nets, long reported to be on the block. It now has been now it has been termed that there are actual bidders and suitors for Cam Johnson's services. And no surprising that the Los Angeles Lakers is one of the teams that are on that list. And I'll say it like that for 1 second. Just bear with me. The other couple teams that we see, and I'm sure this list is longer, I want to see what they have. They talked about Orlando. They talked about Sacramento. Okay, so those are the two teams that they're talking about. I'm trying to think. Was that? No, it was for somebody else. Never mind. But those two teams are, other than Lakers, are the two teams that are looking to get Cam Johnson's services. So Sacramento and the Orlando Magic, along with the Lakers. Now, it is no secret that the Lakers are looking for some sort of help. I find it interesting. JJ Redick has come out and said, we want a big burly center. I've seen, the list that LeBron put together, and there was a big burly center on that list as well, with two guys who were definitely not going to take the mid-level exception. So, it's kind of funny. You got Jonas Valanciunas, you got DeMar DeRozan, you got James Harden. Which one of these doesn't make sense? Right? Which one of these, to you, doesn't make sense in this scenario? James Harden, the beard, multiple-time All-Star, legendary strip club enthusiast. Then you had our guy, DeMar DeRozan, Kendrick Lamar concert goer, walking 25 points with efficiency. He's an analytics darling, even though he doesn't shoot the three ball as the analytic people would like him to. And then you have Jonas Valanciunas, right? So, Cam Johnson definitely would fit the Lakers. They do need length on their wing set. Now, if you're reimagining your wing set, if you're saying the wings that we have right now are not the type of wings we need, I understand what you're talking about. Now, yeah, do they need just more talent overall? Yes. But see, here's the problem. To get Cam Johnson, you have to give up talent. So, I am going to guess here that if Cam Johnson is a real live person of interest for the Lakers, you can pretty much expect that D'Angelo Russell is in that deal, because the salaries need to kind of match. Now, the Lakers will have to put something on that because Cam Johnson, if I'm not mistaken, he makes like $23 million. So if he's making 23 and D'Angelo's making just a tad under 19, he's like an 18 point whatever, you're going to have to throw another salary on. Now, the great thing about that is, if you're putting your thinking cap on, if you do a D'Angelo Russell, Jared Vanderbilt, now hear me out. I know people are getting real upset about Vando not playing last year and he got hurt and they had this incredible record when he was playing and the net rating looked great and all this, but let's call a spade a spade. Jared Vanderbilt has been, unfortunately, a poor three-point shooter. The way Redick wants to play, I'm sure there is importance put on spacing. The importance of a shooter, the importance of a slip screen or ghost screen. These are all things that you're going to hear as the days come up to training camp. What the mantra is, what the three main things are for the Lakers this year to be what they want to be, which, unless they make a trade, they're not close, right? So I do find it interesting that the Lakers come up in this rumor, not because that Cam Johnson wouldn't be a nice addition to the Lakers. He would. I'm not even saying that I'm skeptical of the rumor that this is true or not true. I'm sure it is. But I find it funny that the first team that's on this list is the Lakers. Because you know that it's the franchise that you throw in there when you're trying to drive up the price on something. Oh, the Lakers are involved. They have interest. Not saying that the Lakers don't. I'm not even telling you they have very, very mild interest. And this is an erroneous rumor. I'm not telling you this. We could be doing an emergency pod within 24 hours to announce that the Lakers have traded for Cam Johnson. God forbid. We already have Cam Reddish. We do not need another one. He can also go out in this deal too. Now, the Lakers have this capability. Again, they also say Orlando. Now, let me ask this question. Let me get you guys' thoughts on this. Think about that. Think about what they just said there. This team has Anthony Black from last year, right? They have Jet Howard from last year. They also have Franz Wagner. They have Paulo Banchero. They have Jonathan Isaac. They have Wendell Carter Jr. Where is Cam Johnson going to play on that team? Gotta, match it up a little bit. And then the team that actually makes some sense is, I can definitely see a world where if you wanted to put Cam Johnson at the 3 in Sacramento and then DeMar DeRozan at the 2, but they cross-pollinate when it comes to the responsibilities on the other end, on the defensive side. So if you wanted to kind of not worry about the foot speed of DeMar DeRozan as much, try to put him on the less effective perimeter player. And then you can have Cam Johnson, who is a long wing, athletic, who can provide some perimeter energy that you're sorely lacking. Depending on what the health situation is with Kevin Huerter. Now, he had a really down season. He hasn't been the same since he left Atlanta for some reason. So I can see all of this really definitely in a vacuum for Sacramento. It makes a lot of sense for them as well. So that is the latest. Let's see if there's anything else before we get to our main topic here. I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals. Oh, let's talk about Tibbs getting his extension. So the New York Knicks go ahead and extend Tom Thibodeau, the incumbent head coach of the New York Knicks. He is now signed through the 2027-2028 season. So it's a 3-year extension per Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN. No-brainer, right? This guy has kind of, before they got Jalen Brunson, he was working with less and making more out of it. And then as Leon Rose and that staff continued to compile doubles and singles, and the reason why I'm mixing more metaphors is because I think the baseball metaphor in this particular scenario means a lot more. It's really fun to hit a home run. I'm sure all the Philadelphia fans are so excited about Paul George being a Philadelphia 76ers, and they should be. You should be excited when you bring on a dude that's making $40-some-odd million a year. That means he's bringing along a type of production that is going to meet that salary, basically 9 times out of 10. The margin situations are a little bit different. And celebrating the margin victories, I think, is easier when you talk about it in a baseball analogy. You know what? Walks in baseball are just as important as singles and doubles and whatever, because the one thing that baseball cares about is being on base. Can you get enough cracks at the apple? Can you just continue to wear it down and maybe the dam will break? Kind of what the Knicks have done, right? You get Tom Thibodeau in there. He installs a tough-minded defensive mentality. You get Julius Randle in there. You draft Mitchell Robinson. You have some shrewd moves with Isaiah Hartenstein, who is no longer there now. You also get the deal that brings you Jalen Brunson, which everybody thought it was an overpay. You look like an absolute genius. And then you get his cohorts from college, which are Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart. You also then this year bring along Mikal Bridges in the big move, right? The big move. But to get to a point where you can get Mikal Bridges and create this type of frenzy in New York City, it's all those little moves that allow you to get to this point. It's all those little moves. It's like, oh, we'll trade this second round pick, and we'll move this, and we'll change the date, and we'll give a pick now to get future picks later, and everything like that. It's these moves and the moves that we kind of just gloss over, and maybe do not spend a lot of time on. We'll spend some time on it, but we're trying to get in and out of those to get you to the bigger story. I don't think any of these things are an accident. I don't think any of these things are what you consider happenstance, which when we get to the next story, there's some happenstance in that one. Okay? But good for Tibbs. He got his extension. This team is locked in. They got a lot of their dudes. They're still looking for a backup center. And it seems from what I'm hearing, they are comfortable rolling into the season just as is. I don't know if that's from what I've heard. Not saying that it could be wrong, but this is what I've heard so far. All right, let's get to the thing that I really want to talk about today. And this is what we're doing. We're putting the Houston Rockets in the front office focus here. And it's really funny. How can I put this? We've been working on this for about 3 or 4 days, and thank you, Soraya, and thank you to Funch. Funch can't be here right now. He's doing his other job right now. But when we were doing all this, I reached out to Nico and I said, "Hey, we're doing Houston. and whatever. And he just couldn't. So, I can't wait. He just has some stuff going on. Maybe at one point in time. But we got so much for you guys about Houston. I can't wait to get into it. So here is what we're going to do. First and foremost, you got the owner, Fertitta. You have your executive, which is Rafael Stone, and we're going to talk about him right now. So the Rockets, in like 2020, are trying to bottom out. They grabbed this very precocious GM to take over for Daryl Morey, who leaves. Now, Rafael Stone had been in the organization since 2005. He was part of their council, so he was on their legal team. And he just worked his way up, just continued to work his way up. And, he got really entrenched in player development and was really so these people that you see, like the Chandler Parsons of the world and the Jayshawn Tates of the world and some of these other cats that would come along, like the Daniel House Juniors of the world, where, Daryl Morey was a minor, basically. He mined the non-drafted free agents. He wanted the second, basically the second chance draft picks when you get a guy who is a distressed asset on another team and he comes over to your team and you have him to fulfill a certain role. Maybe 2 steps less than what he was doing with the other team, but definitely something that fits him and makes him comfortable, so now he can flourish and he can just not think out there and just react. So Daryl Morey was really good at that, and also part of that was Rafael Stone. So Rafael Stone takes over in 2020, and at that point, the James Harden thing is happening. He's upset. He sees the direction that the franchise is going in. Now, mind you, with all of this going on, so you got Daryl Morey not ousted, but he retired. You got Fertitta, who is like, okay, I don't like losing. I'm not a big fan of tanking or whatever the case may be, but okay, if you're telling me this is what we have to do to win, let's do it. But let's try to do this. Let's try to see if we can move this along, as quickly as possibly can. Now, there are a couple trades that I want to specifically talk about. The one trade was the James Harden trade. And the reason why I want to talk about the James Harden trade, and everybody's like, which one you talking about, Vince? Well, I'm talking about the one where James Harden leaves Houston. Remember what kind of bombshell that was, right? My man's out here in strip clubs. He's showing up for games late, not showing up at all for games. There's a question about whether he's in shape. There's a question about his attitude at this point in time. There's a lot of questions. Let's just put it that way. So then one fateful evening, James Harden gets traded. Now, particulars. What happens is that we find out that in this trade, Jared Allen goes to Cleveland. Interesting, right? Interesting. Because it is telling you right there that even though Jared Allen, who's a tremendous offensive rebounder, tremendous defensive rebounder, able to block shots and things of that nature, good rim protector, but not like this great center in the sense of he's not Embiid level, right? He's a good defender at the rim, and he can dunk the basketball. And can provide some physicality that your team sorely lacks if you don't have it. So, Houston just kind of punts on that situation. So, with that being said, Rafael Stone starts to make his moves. So I want to read you some things that I think are really important about this situation. We're going to go through a lot, so hang on with me. Also, I don't have the bandage on right now, but my finger is still broken. I'm not going to show it on the screen because it looks so yucky. So back in so they start making moves. They get Jalen Green, right? They get Alperen Sengun, and they identify these talents in the draft, and they draft them, right? Now they made some other moves. They got Tari Eason. They've always had like a move behind the big move that has always seemed to work out. So case in point, Jalen Green was the highlight in his draft, but then Alperen Sengun. Then you had Amen Thompson, but then you had Cam Whitmore, right? It's been like this in these drafts where they've had a high pick, but then the lower pick is also done really well. We're going to buck that trend this year because what we are doing here is we are going to sing the praises of one Reed Sheppard. All right? First of all, y'all know my affinity for Reed. I do think he is the best player in this draft. Usually really hard to see a diminutive guard be that, but I think what he's shown in Summer League, just his offensive awareness is at such an advanced level for what his age is. And I don't know if that was his parents being tremendous basketball players themselves, both going to the University of Kentucky. I know you heard that ad nauseum, but it's true. So Reed wasn't really afraid of anything. He wasn't like going to be so, oh my God, what's going on here? Because he lived it. But his offensive awareness is just off the charts great. He's a scrappy defender. They said that he has really strong hands. This a couple scouts have said, but we also got to see it in Summer League. He was stripping people, deflecting the ball. Even people who had pretty good handles, he was being able to, get his hand in there and disrupt things. It's just things like that. Is he ever going to be like a bust defender? I do not ever believe that's going to happen. Ever. But if you can just be marginally negative, instead of like negative or extremely negative as a defensive player, and then you can have some team defense awareness upside, then you have a chance. You have a chance in this league because all the other stuff seems very special. He hit logo threes. He hit 27-foot threes on the regular. So the range is there. The step back midi game, the step back 3 game is nice. The spot up shooting is nice. But the midi game is a little more special than I thought. So, Reece Sheppard is 6'2". He went out to Summer League. Scouts noted that he showed a very high basketball IQ. This is all things they talked about in the draft. They talked about his court vision, which the one thing that we didn't see a lot in Kentucky, we did get to see glimpses of it because he's such a good initiator on the second side, is that he didn't handle the ball a lot because Calipari had gave a promise to, what's the kid's name? DJ Wagner. And even though that Dillingham and Reece Sheppard were better guards than DJ Wagner, they gave the reps and the opportunities to DJ. Now, that's how you got him in the door, right? Calipari does what he does to get him in the door. Now, what you do from there, that's what the staff handles. So, in Summer League, he averaged 14.2 points a game, 4.3 assists, and 3.1 rebounds a game. He did post 22 points against the Lakers and 7 assists. and he had that hezzy dribble snatchback three against Dalton Connect that was stupid. I loved it, and he was just like hyped for it. The reason why we talk about these draft picks, and the reason, because we're going to also to get to Cam Whitmore in a second, is that this is Rafael Stone. Rafael Stone has a certain type of player he's looking for. He's looking for, do you have multiple skills that translate to the NBA? Okay, check. You don't care about your size, weight, whatever. Do you have skills that translate to the NBA? That's what he wants to know. That's what he wants to know. Reece Shepard has those things. And the guy he picked at 20 last year also has those things. And he goes by the name of Cam Whitmore. Now, Cam, we talked about his story before. He was flying up draft boards last year, or 2023 draft. And there were a point where it looked like he might go anywhere between 5 and 8. And then all of a sudden, I want to say maybe like 10 days before the draft, you start to hear, hey man, Whitmore's falling. We don't know why. Now, we don't know if it's the medicals or whatever. Do you think it was that lingering injury in college or whatever? I'm like, okay, well, let's try to figure it out. There was no reason for it. There's just no reason for it. You couldn't get any answer. It was like, oh, well, we didn't get his medicals. We didn't get this. I'm like, okay, all right. Y'all see how talented he is, right? Well, he falls to 20, which is kind of a fortuitous route, right? And if you think about the whole thing with like Jalen Green, like you're pegging Jalen Green, right? You get Cade off the board, Jalen Green. Boom. You're like, okay, can't get Cade, get Jalen Green. Whatever. But then to turn around and get Alperen Sengun, and to see what he's turned himself into is amazing. Because either way, if he's there for the long term, you got a guy who's definitely going to get you a bunch of boards, and he's not going to not show up in the playoffs. That's just not him. So I'm interested to see how this all goes this next year, because Houston has some expectations on them. Let me give you 2 quotes. One from a scout about Reece Shepard, and then another about Cam Whitmore. So one scout told me, this is an Eastern Conference scout, Shepard's ability to read the game and make quick decisions is beyond his years. He could be the key rotational player for the Houston Rockets very soon. Reed's work ethic and dedication are evident, and we're excited about his future with the team. So our guy Reece Shepard is like basketball savant. We talked about what he is, where his parents played, and how they all played out. But it's another Kentucky guard, damn it. And we told you, it doesn't matter. Kentucky guards score in this league, bro. That is what they do. You know what I'm saying? The sun comes up. The IRS wants its taxes. And, Kentucky guards come into the league and just kill it. An NBA analyst said this about Cam Whitmore. Cam Whitmore's just versatility and his energy are exactly what the Rockets need. He has the potential to be a game changer. Rockets executive stated Cam's impact on both ends of the floor have been impressive, and we believe that he has a bright future ahead. Now, I said on this podcast before, and I'll say it again, I believe that Cam Whitmore should start, and I'm increasingly encouraged that I believe that a future Rockets team looks a lot like this. Reece Shepard, Cam Whitmore, Amen Thompson, Jabari Smith, and Alperen Sengun. Now, Alperen Sengun might get kicked out for a big that's more of a rim runner. It all depends on whether Amen Thompson ever shoots the basketball. But if he does shoot the basketball, yes, that can be turned into a rim running center easily. So there is that. But all this has been done under the stewardship of one Rafael Stone. And we get back to Rafael because all of these moves have been made under Rafael, to the point where we get to last year and Ime Udoka is hired. And we talked about before, right, planning the Knicks, how they planned, how they, before they got to the Mikal Bridges thing, there were so many little singles and bunts and doubles and walks that allowed them to stockpile all this like talent, whether you call it mid-grade talent or whatever it was talent. It was young, controllable talent. And that's the best kind to have in the NBA, is young, controllable talent. So they do that, right? And if you look at the Rockets, they did it a different way because their owner, Mr. Fertitta, he doesn't like losing. He's not a big fan. So Rafael Stone had to devise a plan. How we going to get assets? How we going to move stuff? Well, we got some shit to trade. We got James Harden. Let's trade him, get a boatload of picks. Let's parlay those picks into more picks. Let's, take on salary to get more picks. Oh, now we're getting good because got a bunch of lottery picks the last 3 years. And voila, let's go out and get Dillon Brooks and Fred VanVleet last year because we needed some veteran leadership to show Jalen Green how to be a pro. Mm-hmm. Also, Ime Udoka was there. And let's go through that. Okay, how Houston gets Ime Udoka. Now, it's well known that Ime Udoka was a successful coach with the Boston Celtics. There was a rumor or a scandal in regards to his behavior with a staff member that was investigated, and he was let go, or he said, I don't want to go through scrutiny. In Boston, they kind of mutual. Sorry about that. I talk with my hands. So if you're just listening to the podcast, what was that noise, right? But if you get it on YouTube, you might see it every once in a while. We might put bloopers together. That'd be fun. Well, anyways, getting back to Ime Udoka. So they hired him back in 2023, 2024. They hired him from Boston. And basically, the only way that Houston gets to hire him, because remember, that team made a run with Ime Udoka. People forget. It's like, okay, they won the title this year, and then last year they had the issue with Miami, being, doing that whole thing. But the Ime Udoka, when he got to the Celtics, the first half of the year, terrible. Second half of the year, world beaters. They 2022. That's the Steph championship year. But a lot of people say that even though Steph and them won, even though Steph Curry and Draymond Green stamped their legacy with their fourth championship, a lot of people say that's the future of the league. The Boston Celtics. Everybody was like, well, you got this one, but how many you gonna get over like the next 8 years? Because we bet that this team will. And sure enough, 2024, 2 years later, they did. Now, with that all being said, we talked about the scandal and why he was let go, whatever. Remember, there was a rumor out there about the Brooklyn Nets? I will tell you that Adam Silver put a kibosh on that. Said, no. What he did in Boston, he can't get a job right now. He got to wait. He's like, the block is too hot. So Brooklyn doesn't get their coach, but I believe they had a real deal on the table for Ime Udoka to become the new head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. And this is when they had Harden. And this is when they had KD and all that. So keep that in mind. Could have been a different story. All right. So then we get to all of this to say that the Houston Rockets have done an incredible job with this rebuild. I've never been a Jalen Green fan, but our guy, Nico Miatello, has enjoyed that cat. I don't think he's conducive to winning personally. That's just me. But we'll see how it all plays out. I do like what Rafael Stone has done. I do like the building blocks that he set up. I like how he attacked the draft and what he prioritized that would be successful and translatable into the NBA. Because I think the board for the Houston Rockets is as a meritocracy as it can be. And what I mean by that is that I don't think they go, I have a size, I have a preference, I have this. Can you shoot, dribble, and pass? Do you have skills that translate to the NBA? If you have skills that translate to the NBA, then guess what? You can be a Houston Rocket. Ask 6'1.5" Reece Shepard, right? Who looks like he should be making my coffees at Office Depot. You know, trying to get signs made or something for somebody's birthday party. And the dude behind the counter at the Office Depot, Reece Shepard. Reece Shepard's like, I don't like this, Vince. You can't talk about me like this. That's disrespectful. Talking about your long range 3-point assassin that you love out of this draft. You can't talk about me like that. Reed, I kid because I care. You my man, $100,000. I think you're gonna do awesome this year. I think you're gonna be box office. I believe that you are going to be. This is a future 5-time All-Star. I'm putting it out there now. Okay? Reece Shepard is going to be a future 5-time All-Star. Give my man the basketball. Let's see what goes down. So, with that being said, we are going to say that the Houston Rockets this year, they stuck to their plan. They did a lot of their work last year with the Dillon Brooks and the VanVleet signing, bringing some professionalism into the organization. Now, there's been a scout that told me, hey, I liked the deal when they got VanVleet. It was kind of an overpay, but we understood what it was all about. But they were really smitten with what Amen Thompson is. And even though I said, my rebuttal was that, Amen Thompson shot 18% from 3. How can we be excited about that? He was like, just all the other stuff. He was like, the passing, the speed, the decisiveness, the physicality, but the physicality with the athleticism, the body control. He waxed poetically about Amen Thompson. And I'm going to tell you, as much as he waxed poetically about Amen Thompson, and I will tell you this beyond a shadow of doubt, I believe this with all my heart. Amen Thompson and his brother, they like that 1% athlete. They up there with Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is a great athlete. Amen Thompson is a whole level of athlete. Just wait. He gonna do some silly shit this year, and y'all gonna be like, what happened? What happened was, that's what's gonna happen. But I do believe that Rafael Stone has this team going in the right direction. I do love the rebuild, not just in that they were 41-41 last year. And that's a hell of a step for a team, because a year prior, I thought none of them can play basketball. And I know that's hyperbole, but you know what I'm talking about. These cats weren't running sets. They was out here just running up and down the court, chucking the basketball 2 years ago. And then Ime Udoka showed up, and that shit all changed. It all went by the wayside. It's like, we are going to run actual sets. We are not just going to come up and down the court, and when the mood strikes you, for you to take it to the hole, and you decided that no matter what the defense presents you, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. Not this over. Sorry about you. But it's all changed. You got, whatever you think of Dillon Brooks and, some of the antics, the one thing that he does do is that he plays within a structure of offense because he has some limitations to his game. Now, Fred VanVleet, on the other hand, is a guy who, has some creativity, has some shake and bake, but because of athletically being diminished because he's getting close to 30, and also because he is smaller, and this is what happens to smaller guys, he's very crafty. He can get to the free throw line, he can get a defender on his hip and then maneuver him in a way where he can go ahead and get that foul call. Now, he does that at a pretty expert, I wouldn't say expert level, like a little bit less than an expert level. He's up there. And these are the type of guys you brought in. Solid defenders, are going to do extra film sessions, on their laptop or on their tablet or whatever case may be. They're taking notes for themselves. These guys are like real professional basketball players. Excluding the antics of one Dillon Brooks, because we still don't like those, but it is what it is. So again, Houston with Reece Sheppard, Jabari Smith Jr., Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore, Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, Tari Eason, and the list goes on. There's like other players that are not playing. They can't get no burn on this squad because they too deep. There's a consolidation trade to be made. Now, since Stone has taken over, they kind of moved in silence a little bit. Now, the James Harden thing wasn't their fault. Their hand was forced by James Harden, but some other moves that they made, like, there was a real chance that Brook Lopez was going to be a Houston Rocket. Not in this last offseason, but the previous before this one. And, they put a really good package together, and then Milwaukee was where Brook played for, finally matched it at the very, very, very last second. But if you get Brook in a real honest moment, he'll tell you that he thought there was a good 7 to 15-minute period where he thought he was going to be a Houston Rocket. So it tells you the type of players they're bringing in. Look at what they're looking at. Look at what Stone wants, what he wants. I think when he did the draft first, he was looking for talent. As he started to continue to draft and hone his skill as a drafter, man, look at the results. Look at some of the guys he pulled and the way they're contributing. I have no idea what this means for the Houston Rockets this year. If you want a prediction from me, you're going to have to wait until the end of September, early October, like everybody else, bro. Like, I'm not playing that game right now. There's too many things about to happen. We just, we started off the program talking about Cam Johnson, a rumor that he is on 3 teams list, which is the Lakers, the Magic, and the Sacramento Kings, among others that are interested in him, right? So at the end of the day, it would be foolish for me to sit here and tell you, oh, this team is the number 1 team, in the West. This team is two teams in the West and so on and so forth. I'm not going to do it. Let's see what all the rosters look like, and then we'll make some bold predictions towards the start of the year. But in the meantime, in between time, you got the month of August coming up, and we told you, 2025 NBA draft prospects. We will be breaking them down all throughout the month, as well as any rumors or news and notes that are going on throughout the NBA. We will hit Olympic basketball. I stayed away from it because it's been an exhibition, and everybody's worried about, who's going to start and who's going to... Listen, it's different when you're playing for your country. I know it's supposed to work the same as the NBA. It does not. It does not. So it's a privilege to play for your country, and, the guys are working it out, and we'll see what they do in the Olympics itself. All right, so we can go ahead and cut up out of here. I want to thank the producers again. Funch, bunch of Funch, thank you so much. Soraya, go follow them at Raya_Funch, FRPC. Go follow my producers. Get up on that. The other thing, follow me, X, at FrontRunner PC. Remember, the YouTube channel, blowing up. FrontRunner Podcast Collective. Get on that. That would be great. We love you. And then, we don't leave you. We told you what we were going to do for you, right? We told you we were going to help you out and give you suggestions on who to tell after you have exhausted your friend group, because be a friend, tell a friend mantra, we might need to expand the universe. Because be a friend, tell a friend definitely continues to work. Continues to work. But now we need to step our game up. Like, where else can we spread this beautiful tapestry that we weave every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday here on FrontRunner Podcast Collective? And I would think that the people that you would probably want to talk to are your bank tellers. When you got to go in and do your business with the bank. I know we do some online banking and all that stuff, but every once in a while you got to talk to a live person. So shit go down. You're like, what happened here? I don't know. I was at this bar, and not me. I don't go to bars anymore. Something like 7 years sober. But for the rest of y'all, I understand. Y'all go to bars. So you go to a bar, right? And you leave your credit card or leave your debit card or whatever. You don't know why this $300 transaction is on there. Like, what is this? Did I do that? I don't know. Go talk to your bar. Listen. Go talk to your bank tellers and your business bankers, your investment people, and because they'll always ask you how your day is going and what you're up to. It is the best opportunity. It's the opening that you need to say, hey, listen, do yourself a favor, open your Spotify app or your Apple Music or Apple Podcast app or whatever you like to use. Put in FrontRunner Podcast Collective. You like the NBA, right? Put this in. And then you're welcome. Right? You're welcome. So you done something good for somebody, and you also done something good for our group here. So again, from the bottom of my heart, I am so appreciative of everybody who listens. And it blows me away when I'm seeing so many far away places who listen to the podcast. I get the whole technology and how it all works and streaming and all of that, but it still boggles my mind that there's somebody in Taiwan who's getting the podcast, bro. It's amazing. So with that being said, best part of you is you. Make sure that you have people in your life that are only uplifting you and brightening your light. That will then allow you to go out and attack tomorrow and do some good in the world. And then we'll see you back on this feed on Friday with more teams in the front office focus. We wanted to give you Houston totally uncut, unbiased, and what have you. Shouts out to all of our people in Houston. And then the other thing is this. If you disagree with anything I had to say about Houston or what they've done, or, I did say that I don't know if Jalen Green is long-term, and I do believe that Reece Shepherd is the future of the Houston Rockets, along with a couple other dudes. But if you disagree with that, hit me up on X, @FrontRunnerPC. And you can also hit up my producers and tell them, hey, why do you work for this whack job? And they are @Raya_Funch FRPC. So again, guys, thank you. And we will see you back on this feed on Friday. And we are out of here. Deuce.